Morning. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the webinar on creating technologies that deliver value, leveraging on Philippines' talents to build on apps and software solutions. This event is being organized by the various Philippine Trade and Investment Centers, Embassy, and Consulates General of the Philippines in the United States. My name is Marco Angelo Lopez, Vice Consul at the Philippine Consulate General in Houston. This webinar is the second to the last installment of the Global Business Processes powered by the Philippines webinar series. From August 13 to October 1, top IT BPO executives will discuss about different types of outsourced services, such as virtual assistants, e-learning, creative content, and engineering design, call centers, healthcare, IT, clinical research, software and apps development, as well as other financial functions. Today with us is our Philippine Consulate General in Houston, the Honorable Gerald G. Santos. Today, we will introduce the topic of creating video technologies that deliver value, leveraging on Philippines' talents to build apps and software solutions. We will be joined by two presenters, Juanloz Botor, Business Development Manager of Pointwest Technologies Corporation, and Mr. Vincent Remo, Director, Vice President, Innovation and Development, Advanced World Solutions Incorporated, and Vice President and Board of Trustees of Healthcare Information Management Association of the Philippines, or HIMA. Our speakers will be discussing about these topics, which we hope will help our audience understand better what is creating technologies that deliver value and how it can benefit your business amidst the disruption in the business environment due to COVID-19. After the presentation, we will have a short Q&A. Okay, now let's go to our presentations. Our first speaker is Mr. Juanloz Botor, Business Development Manager of Pointwest Technologies Corporation. Founded in 2003 by pioneers of the Philippine global outsourcing technology, Pointwest creates value for its list of satisfied clients. With leadership affirmed through the International ITC Awards Hall of Fame recognition for Best Filipino-Owned Company, and excellence seen with its extensive industry experience in financial services, retail, transportation, logistics, travel, healthcare, utilities, media, and the public sector, Pointwest transforms businesses for the fourth industrial revolution with digital offerings in data analytics, data management, robotics processes, automation, experience design, cybersecurity, mobility, and cloud computing. Let us all welcome Mr. Juanloz Botor.
Hi, everyone. Good evening to North America, good afternoon to Hawaii, and of course, good morning from the Philippines. So I am JL Botor, and this morning in the Philippines, I will be discussing with you the technologies that are created for the future, leveraging on the Philippines' talent and competencies to build applications, platform, tools, and of course, software solutions. Now, the Philippine IT industry has over 650,000 IT professionals, and these professionals are proficient in legacy IT systems like application development and modernization, independent software testing, application maintenance and support. And now a lot of companies engaged in the IT services already embrace the digital IT solutions, focusing on mobile and cloud solutions, data science and analytics, robotic process automation and AI, blockchain. And we also moved into a lot of platforms and products that basically are concentrated on healthcare and insurance applications, banking, finance, transportation, and lodging, utilities, platform, manufacturing, and even government. with the pandemic of COVID ravaging almost all areas in the globe, in the Philippines, there are a lot of companies that have also engaged into a lot of development of products and platforms geared on contact tracing, also geared on health monitoring, and then of course treatment. Now, what basically are the benefits of outsourcing? We have seen how companies have made its way into the shores of the Philippines, basically with the idea of getting our talent work on their multifarious projects. Now, if you do outsourcing, we basically have the benefit of cost advantages. So you get the job done at a lower cost and of course, better quality as well. We also have in outsourcing an increased efficiency because we have manpower and skill sets that have deep understanding of both the job and the domain. In outsourcing, you also have the ability to now focus on your core areas. You free up your time and energy if you are a US-based company and just focus on your core business. With outsourcing, you're able to save on technology and infrastructure. You eliminate investments on these items. And basically, you have access to global skilled resources and you eliminate from your end investments in recruitment and training. With outsourcing, you also have a faster and better services because you now have a dedicated team executing high quality deliverables. Now, there's the last advantage that I think is very appropriate for the North America market. You got to have the time zone advantage. You get the job done. The Philippines get the job done while you sleep. Now, who has utilized the Philippine workforce? Surprisingly, probably with a lot of companies in the Philippines right now, we have seen a lot of GICs in the Philippines, utilizing both our BPO competencies and at the same time our IT services. So these are just a few brands, but of course, we have 1,000 more popular logos that are in the Philippines, basically utilizing our manpower in order to execute simple to complex software applications. Now, if we take a look at why the Philippines is a top offshore IT location, we have to dwell on the following. First, we have scalable educated talent pool. We're the third largest English-speaking country and the 12th most populous country. With over 109 million population in 2019, we have around 47 million workforce that's basically delivering services, working for the economy of the country. We have 590,000 college graduates that join the pool every year. And this basically has a very high 93% literacy rate. Now, we have that Western-based legal accounting curriculum and certification, allowing us to basically understand core processes from our clients. Now, cost competitiveness. As mentioned, we have a labor cost for English-speaking professionals among lowest others in the world. All in cost among lowest in the world. We have basically mapped out, from the cost of investment in IT infrastructure. We also have the cost in talent. We have seen that our cost is basically very competitive. We have predictable and manageable inflation. And for our excellent infrastructure, we have made a lot of progress in making sure that we have abundant, low cost, high quality real estate that basically provides support in the BPO and IT areas where most companies operate, providing residences, headquarters for companies that would like to settle in. We have reliable, abundant, low-cost telco infrastructure, reliable power with a lot of backup, and available 24/7 low-cost transportation. Now, if you take a look at government support, we basically have a very good support in terms of training, education, and even for locators like the government agencies, PESA, DTI, Board of Investment, Export Management Bureau, and of course the Department of ICT. And for the training, we have TESDA and CHED, who have made its way to align the curriculum to ensure that the workforce are trained and be readily hireable by the companies operating in the country. Now, we also have tax holidays that allow 4 to 5 years incentive, and this basically provides also exemptions in the payment of VAT. We have comprehensive roadmap for our IT BPM industry, and this is evident by the IBPOP Roadmap 2020, where we have achieved a consistent 20% year-on-year growth. Now, lastly, we have a proven track record. As mentioned in the previous slide, we have a lot of locators in the country. And not just because of these locators, that is a testament on how we have proven that yes, we really can deliver the job. We have emerged as the #1 country for voice, customer care. We also have inched our way in the tech field for the financial services, sales, collections. We have a mature growing industry specific and cross industry capability in IT, finance and accounting, HR, healthcare, BPO procurement, banking, utilities, and even telco. So primarily, our English-based services provide us with that edge. And of course, we have other multilingual services that also provides a variation in the services that we provide. Now, analytics and knowledge process outsourcing has already been in the market of also for Philippine companies and also inching its way to be also one of our key differentiator. That's basically why the Philippines is a top offshore IT location. Now, when you look at Pointwest as an IT facility, we have been in the business for more than 17 years, providing service, excellence, and innovation. We are 100% Filipino-owned IT BPM company, and we basically brand ourselves as your partner in digital transformation. We have locations in the United States, and we basically have our footprint serving our key segments and key markets in the areas of Japan, Singapore, New Zealand, Australia, and of course in the Philippines. We are enabled, data-driven, and connected company that basically services healthcare and insurance, banking and finance, retail, conglomerates, transportation and lodging, utilities, and public sector. If you take a look at the skills distribution per location, we basically have at least 5 core employee groups, and this one would be in the application modernization group. We basically provide application programming interfaces, microservices, cloud, DevOps, and the mainstream coding languages for Java, .NET, UI, and other technologies. And our second group in Pointwest that does the automation group will focus more on test automation, robotic process automation, data, AI, machine learning engineers. And we have a very good group also who does business analysis, architects, and security to support our delivery. And of course, our BPO specialists focusing also on some healthcare related accounts. Our US-based IT resources are also there to support our nearshore and inshore support services for clients located in North America. Pointwest has established BCP, or what you call as a business continuity program. All Philippine-based and US-based employees are currently working from home. And we're glad to announce that Pointwest has achieved 100% work from home and productive on day one when the COVID-19 pandemic caused Manila to do a lockdown. This includes virtual digital recruitment, onboarding, and training. So it's really funny that, you know, for a long time, we have been a company that has been centered on our locations. But during the pandemic, we have tested that even the recruitment process can be done. You recruit, you interview, you screen, you onboard employees, and let them work from home as we add into the accounts. Basically, that's a fit. And we have seen how productive the employees are, even with the pandemic. Now, if you take a look at our talent acquisition, Pointwest gets both experienced hires and fresh graduates for boot camps. Our recruitment is done by our talent acquisition group, and the steps that we usually do would start with benchmarking, and then we do the sourcing, and most of them would come a big deal on referrals. We have direct applications, and we also utilize, of course, advertisements in order to make sure that we are able to advertise our job openings. And then we have to do now the interview screening, examinations, technical assessments, behavioral evaluations. We do reference checks. we do final interview, and then the job order. So that intricate process of onboarding resources provided us with a way to carefully select manpower who will be joining our pool. And if you take a look at the cycle that I have here, we have technical assessments, behavioral evaluation, aptitude diagnostics, including pre-employment evaluations and background checks. It basically comprises of three areas where we focus on: requirements, definition, and sourcing. We use assessment tools in order to further evaluate them. And then we do competency model matching in order for us to ensure that the employees really would match the requirements of both Pointwest and, of course, our clients. Now, the onboarding process is also being speed up, but we are quite careful that the salient steps are not overlooked. So we submit pre-employment requirements, and of course, a lot of training, both on the company policies and procedure, security policies, internal systems about project tracking and timekeeping, training on CMMI, training on industry-specific standards like HIPAA, HL7 for healthcare, technology-specific standard like PCI DSS encryptions, and of course, the training on soft skills, because our workforce would normally be interfacing with our clients via email, via voice calls, while they run into the projects. And while we do this, we do project onboarding, which is basically a general process, but it basically defines now roles and responsibilities per team, the project processes on standard tools, security policies, etc. And of course, the application domain, technical designs and components. So the onboarding and training process also ensures that we have the right manpower in order to service the different requirements of our client. Now, the continuous learning and development also plays a critical role in Pointwest. So aside from the fact that we have a dedicated group, which we call as the Learning and Development Group, under the HR of Pointwest, they basically take care of the continuous training, technical skills, soft skills, and leadership skills of our resources. So it is really a modularized bootcamp trainings for technologies, or it can be fundamental programs like work attitude, engagement, service culture, and of course, leadership programs, allowing them to basically climb the ladder, uh, getting from a mere developer or executing codes into supervisory role, team leads, etc. And of course, the very important would be the professional development programs that basically look into our communication skills, oral, business writing skills, effective communications. And lastly, other programs that are also geared into providing interest trainings and train the trainer workshop, allowing us now to have continuity of skill sets, passing the knowledge from one group to another. Now, if you take a look at Pointwest as a company, we try to cover basically the entire ecosystem, from the customers to our partner suppliers, to the employees of our clients, to the regulatory bodies, and of course, for the conglomeration of Internet of Things. So as mentioned, we wanted to always portray the always connected, always on, enabled, and data-driven services. So it really runs from application modernization, which basically covers cloud, cybersecurity, microservices, omnichannel, and DevOps, into what you call as the digital automation, with test automation, RPA, workflow automation, and of course, the very industry and specific technology of AI, machine learning, data, chatbots. So aside from this one, Pointwest also have in-house developed showcase applications. And this basically run from service management solution, learning management solution, events engagement application, smart or intelligent OCR platform, smart chatbot platform, electronic medical records for our local healthcare industry, mobile and patient-centric solutions relating to both healthcare insurance, HMOs, and of course, lastly, we also have developed, because of COVID, a health monitoring system allowing both the monitoring of employee health health conditions, including contact tracing. So all of these uh, solutions, services, and platforms provide now the companies, our clients, the digital transformation journey. Now, how do Pointwest set up the solution and services in a framework? So we focus on channels development. So we try to provide different channels where information, service, experience, and conversations can be best made available through the different channels of website, e-commerce platform, other online platforms, including modern devices. Now, when you try to work on the channels, we now basically modernize the operation from the agents to the staff to your store to logistics to returns to finance and even to the IT department. And that basically is handled by the different products and tools that we have, from intelligent document processing, the chatbot, from customer onboarding, service management, and of course, services like what we do in HealthPass. And these are also made available by our partners in technology for the cloud, for the automated testing, etc., like artificial intelligence, OutSystems, Creation, Tosca, UiPath, and Vincent. Now, our strategic partner and alliance also provide us with the ability to scale up our learning, get all of those technology on board so that we can service our customers and clients by way of these tools on cloud, tools on automation, tools on test automation, rapid application development, and of course, workflow management platform. For Pointwest, we basically are heavy on automated testing, and that basically provides now the whole process of test automation from the scoping down to the automated test case maintenance. So it's really providing you a reduced business expense, faster time to market, higher risk coverage, and of course, what every company wants, better insights. And this is also made possible because of our partners that provide us now with the tools and platforms to be able to carry out services for automated testing. Now, with smarter way to do hyper automation, we really marry the RPA, robotic process automation, artificial intelligence and analytics, including process mining. And that basically provide now the platform for digital workforce that now go into the business resilience. So it provides companies with maximum ROI. It gives them better digital customer experience. It allows them to reallocate workforce to where it matters or where they lack coverage. It provides scalability and flexibility. It provides the ability and to enhance also on how to manage client expectations. And of course, lastly, provide them with real-time insights and analytics. So for Pointwest, our engagement model basically, work from both an offshore services and an on-site services, where we basically put in resources to the companies of our clients. So the engagement comes with the following model, wherein there would be an agreement on our senior leadership where they can basically define the engagement. But the details of that engagement will be handled by our engagement managers. And of course, a very close coordination between the on-site teams and then the offshore teams, providing also levels of escalation if there would be issues. So the engagement model has worked for Pointwest for a long time, and this has been proven to be an efficient way of ensuring that we service the requirements, constant communication, and allowing us basically to agree on a lot of terms. Now, for the AI machine learning use cases complementing our automation use cases for selected industries, we have solutions for intelligent OCR, which has an application in the banking and finance industry, retail, healthcare, and of course, utilities. So it's really more about process of the back office document processing, how you manage the conversion from paper into digital, and allow them also to be able to make sure that these information are properly cataloged, searchable. And then we have computer vision. So it's a customer onboarding system that allows identity verification by way of facial recognition, natural language processing. This is basically our customer service solution for chatbot, sound processing, noise elimination during calls, anomaly detection. So this basically work on the compliance and fraud detection, forecasting. So cross-selling, upselling forecast systems are being put in place in order to understand better the data. And of course, I'd like to share some notable applications that Pointwest has developed for clients. So we have one self-service health pod, and this basically is rolled out in the Philippines, wherein it allows now patients to have a session with a doctor by just entering the health pod, putting in their insurance details, and a telehealth consultation is done. This basically eliminates the doctor to patient contact and allowing them to basically have the consultation in the absence of a clinician nearby. And we have an application to support projects for an HMO letter of authorization, develop a platform for elder care provider seeker system. So it involves registration, booking, scheduling, and payment. We have supported projects for crowdsourcing application, development of a system that is gamified, wherein people put in funds, money, people, and items in these crowd sourcing foundations. And we have also projects in the clinical trial space, software development and maintenance for site management, and systems that would help our pharmacy benefit management core systems. So it has also a system that allows the detailed work for claim systems, eligibility formulary. And for insurance, we have did some projects that really work on claims using mobile devices, credit redemptions, and even dashboard for agents so that they'll be able to manage properly the sales. And then lastly, healthcare for hospitals. Pointwest has been working on getting our local healthcare system, adapt EMR systems, patient portal. And with COVID, there's really a lot of opportunity for telehealth systems, billing and coding. And of course, as mentioned, we have Health Pass that allows now the health monitoring of employees. And we really focus on the implementation, systems configuration, training, including help desk and support. So Pointwest, as a IT company, has been in the industry for 17 years, and we have seen how we have helped a lot of US-based companies, companies in North America, Asia, to really work on their core competencies by allowing us, an offshore company, to service their requirement. So if you have questions, I'll be staying for the Q&A. Thank you very much for the time. Good evening, good afternoon to Guam, and of course, good morning to the Philippines.
All right. Thank you, JL. That was a very informative and timely presentation. Indeed, the competencies of the Filipinos in IT and the creative industry is immense. And with excellent cost competitiveness and a well-developed infrastructure, government support, and a proven track record. This positions the Philippines as a top offshore IT location. By engaging in business processing outsourcing, we can project the Filipino talent virtually to a global clientele. Okay? Our next speaker is Mr. Vincent Remo, Director, Vice President, Innovation and Development of Advanced World Solutions Incorporated. He is also the Vice President and Board of Trustee of Healthcare Information Management Association of the Philippines, or HIMA. Vince has almost over 26 years of experience in the IT industry. A software R&D practitioner with a track record in implementing as well as managing successful projects for the Japan market. He is also in charge of starting up their branch in Western Japan, where he served as general manager for almost 5 years. He is a member of the board of directors in Advanced World Systems Incorporated and Advanced World Solutions Incorporated, and concurrently serves as the vice president for solutions development for both companies. He is a member of the board of trustees and concurrently the vice president of the Healthcare Management Association of the Philippines, or HIMA. Let us all welcome Mr. Vincent Remo.
Hello, and good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. So we're on three different time zones, I believe, and we are happy that you're here with us. We hope that the time you spent or you're spending your time with us would be worth it. And the first speaker, JL, no, has already given you a lot of information, a lot of knowledge, perhaps, or that would help you somehow contemplate and decide on doing outsourcing with a Filipino partner. So let me just complement that with my own presentation. Our topic for uh, today our topic for today's webinar is outsourcing as a business strategy. So, but I put the subtitle Partnering for Success. For me, outsourcing is always a partnership. It's always a two-way street, in a manner of speaking. So let me tell you a story. Let me tell you the story of how our company, Advanced World Solutions, we call ourselves AWS, but most of you who know Amazon, might be mistaken that we are also Amazon. We are not Amazon. We are Advanced World Solutions. We've been in the Philippines since 1993, so way back, 27 years ago. And we have served the Japanese clients, Japan market for over 27 years now. So let me just go through with a simple introduction of our company. We are part of the Ubicom group of companies. The Ubicom Group is a holding company in Japan, which is listed in the Japanese stock market, Tokyo Stock Exchange. And it was established in 2005. But I mentioned that the Philippine side company was established in 1993. When we were established in 1993, we were an affiliate then of IBM Japan and Toshiba Tech Japan. And then when we finally became independent, we established the mother company. No, it's the other way around. We established the mother company in Japan with some Japanese partners. So really the base of our operation is in the Philippines. And that's why we have two companies in the Philippines, Advanced World Systems and Advanced World Solutions. But our main market from the start was Japan, has been Japan, and it still is Japan as of this time. But of course, we have expanded to other countries as well. And as you can see here, we have established presence in some other countries, inclusive of the United States. We now have about 1,000 employees, over 1,000 employees as a group, and around 800 to 900 of that would be Filipino engineers. The majority of our population are really Filipinos. From the start, our Japanese founders have believed in the capability of the Filipinos. And that's why in the Philippines, we have two major locations with 4 offices. No? Locations in terms of geography is Manila and Cebu. That's basically two of the major destinations within the Philippines. But we have 4 locations. We have 2 offices in each of those geographical locations. And we have 2 companies serving different sets of clients. One of the reasons for having different sets of companies is information security. As an outsourcing company, we service even competing clients. And when that happens, we have to ensure the information security, the privacy, all the non-disclosure agreements would be kept. And for that, we have defined ways not only to segregate the office physically, but also in terms of information security. We also have some local companies in the Philippines. This third one, IC, Alson's AWS Information Systems, is actually a joint venture with a conglomerate in the Philippines, the Alcantara Group of companies. And we have catered to local clients as well in the Philippines using this with this company. In the US, we have 2 branch offices, as you can see here, and one is in Michigan and one is in New York. Now, as a company, well, we have been established in 1993, as I mentioned, and we do outsourcing services for software development and testing itself. And we have, I will show you later what we have done for most of our clients. in terms of embedded software, business applications, and mobile applications, as well as product testing. But we also have our homegrown intellectual property solutions in the area of big data and analytics, software automation, test automation, as well as AI. And then here's just a simple list, a partial list, I mean, of our clients, and most of which are Japanese big names in Japan market, in the Japan market. So that's the basic introduction about my company. Now on with the topic of IT outsourcing as a business strategy. So let me start with what is strategy. We all know about this. Strategy is our way, of how to get from point A to point B. From where we are right now, we define where we want to be, and then the transition would form part of the strategy. But the key point that I'm going to discuss with you today is the role of IT in your company's strategy. If you want to expand your horizon, if you want to survive and thrive, then the strategy has to be very, very clear. And IT, through the years, IT has played a major role in any company's strategy. However, the role of IT has also evolved. In the past, it has become a business enabler. Okay? If you are a logistics company, tracking your systems, okay, tracking your deliveries, and tracking all the routes of your drivers, for example, would enable your business to grow, would enable your business to become more efficient. But right now, as we are amidst the pandemic, it has become a tool for business recovery and also for business continuity. The BCP of our clients, we are part of the BCP of our clients. Of course, as a company, we also have our own business continuity plan. One of the reasons why we have several locations, and now we have also enabled our work from home strategy. Now, are you in any of these situations? I start with this question of whether you are in the situation wherein you should or you would consider outsourcing at all. So are you looking to improve your current IT systems, or you want to develop new ones because of the current situation where we are all in right now? It becomes mandatory for us to improve our communication platforms, our systems, our internal systems even, because as we have hybrid workforce now, some working from the office, some working from home, we need to have a great system. We need to have an efficient system for us to manage our operations. Now, also, do you have a great idea, for example? Another case would be if you have a great idea, like for an app, you want to develop it, but you don't have time or resources to make it happen. Like, for example, you are not really into IT, but you have a need for your business. It's also one question to ask yourself if it is time to consider outsourcing your IT needs. Are you a startup who's looking to scale very, very quickly? It's also a question that always pops up. Our clients, when we have startup clients, by the way, and some of them would say, I want to ramp up very, very quickly. Can you help me with that? And outsourcing is always an option for that. Do you need solutions to optimize your operations? Do you have an IT group, but they're already fully loaded? Because for companies wherein it's not their core, IT is not their core business, then IT group would be a small group only. So you would need help. Those companies would need help from other providers. Are you looking for solutions to engage your clients better, but are constrained with financial and manpower resources? Cost is also a factor of whether you're going to do outsourcing or not. But if you notice, that's not the number one concern that I have mentioned in this presentation. Have you struggled with business continuity? This is a more timely issue. You're working from the office, everybody is in one location, and then suddenly the pandemic happens. And well, a lot of companies scramble actually to bring the work to home, not knowing how to proceed and things like that. It's an experience that I would also be sharing with you in a while. But if you have these questions, if you're asking yourself these questions, maybe it is time to consider your systems, outsourcing your IT needs. So why do companies outsource? What are the common reasons? Well, Some companies, IT is not their core business. So to focus on their core business, they outsource the non-core business. We have heard of a lot of these things in the past. Okay? But I would like to reiterate most of them because they are timely, even as of this time. For business continuity, yes, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all your people in one location. Okay? If one site fails, you have a backup site. Things like that would be um, very, very timely to consider as of this time. Risk mitigation, well, it's related to business risk. It's also related to operational risk of having people, well, God forbid, some of them would be infected. Then how do you manage the risk? How do you still deliver your services to your clients if a portion of your operations fail? For greater flexibility in resource ramp up and ramp down, because some of the needs of your company or your end client perhaps are seasonal. It's not always the case that okay, all throughout the year you would need a lot of IT services. There are things that okay, after this project and it's done, okay, the next one, the next cycle would come in next year. How will you handle that if you're always scrambling for resource every time you need to ramp up and you have to fire people every time you ramp down? So outsourcing would be one of the options for you in that area. To get extra resource for engineering IT systems, of course, re-engineering systems is a part of everyday business operations. There's always a new technology. There's always new processes to be defined, and it's always there's always a need to re-engineer your current systems. You have to adapt to the changing times. To tap into knowledge and leverage global knowledge base? Yes, definitely. Of course, for example, outsourcing companies like us, we have exposure in Japan. We can actually bridge between companies in the US to companies in Japan and vice versa to gain access to new markets. Well, related to that, right? For example, if your outsourcing partner has some access to European market or Japan market or other Asian markets, you could also take advantage of that, not only for your own personal needs, IT needs, but also to expand your business reach. And of course, to lower operational and labor cost. Um, it's always common to hear that outsourcing will give you the cost advantage. But let me explain to you in a bit how that should happen. But the key point here, I highlighted here provider versus partner in the bottom of the slide, because this is something that you have to ask yourself: are you looking for a provider or are you looking for a partner? And I will discuss that in this next few slides. With regards to concerns regarding outsourcing, there are myths and there are realities. No? There are people who say that outsourcing is hard. There are people who say that it's doable. And I have in this slide just summarized a few points which we actually heard from our clients in the past. We have heard this from our clients why they were hesitant at first to do outsourcing. And then when they met us, they got to know the reality behind it. So for example, number one, it's a common issue or common concern that people are thinking that outsourcing is for big businesses only. Now for our company, you can start small, even with a few FTEs, 3, 5, or a small project, a 2-3 month project, a small project, and we're good with that. Our aim is, well, it's a business, of course, but definitely for us, for an outsourcing company, it takes time for a partnership to grow. And we are okay with that. Number two, outsourcing means poor quality. Well, outsourcing companies like us, are adhering to international standards. And we agree on certain SLAs with our clients. And that's how we can be measured. Number three, outsourcing compromises privacy and security. Well, the first thing about an outsourcing partner is that that partner would like to gain your trust. And for that partner to gain your trust, adhering to your policies in terms of privacy, security, is always mandatory. So it's not that we will push that this is the way we do things. Rather, we would look into your system, into your processes, and how and see how and propose how we can adapt to that. Number four, outsourcing makes it difficult to collaborate due to barriers such as language, culture, etc. Yes, there's a possibility for that. Like for example, in our case, we deal a lot with Japanese companies. 70% of our business is still with Japan. And for that, we have our own training center. We study the language. All our employees are capable of the Japanese language. And all our employees know the culture, the business culture of Japan, and we adapt to that. So Filipinos are very, very flexible. Filipino companies, outsourcing companies are very flexible to answer all your needs. And on top of that, companies like us, we establish governance models in terms of processes, communications, reporting, project management, which actually would make the partnership successful. So what's our approach in terms of outsourcing? We have basically three engagement models. Of course, there are variations in between these models, but one thing we can always send people to our customer site. Of course, at this point in time, there would be restrictions, there would be limitations, but having people in one location could be a good start. So at this point in time, it's a getting to know phase. And then the next phase would be, you would be, the next possible engagement would be, I mean, in terms of project-based, okay, we have the technology, we have the capability, okay, let's engage in the project. And then if you're satisfied with the service that we provided, we do the next and the next and the next. So that could be a project-based engagement. There's also the ODC or the Offshore Development Center type. We will act as your extended office. Okay? We will form a team for you. You can send your people to us. Something like that. So now physically moving people may have some limitations, but in the past, we do that. We set up sort of a sub-office, actually, a workshop within our office for our clients. And they come in, okay? We form a team, a hybrid team together with them, and we execute the projects that are needed. So be it an end user who just gives us the requirement, or the IT group, which gives us more detail in terms of the designs that they want, things like that, it's always welcome in our company. And when we form teams, we make sure that there are counterparts for each level of the organization. This has three columns: the client, which is overseas most of the time, and then we also assign people to the client sites, and then we have the bigger chunk of the population of the team in offshore in the Philippines. Now, there used to be a concept of having bridge engineers on site. We don't do that. What we do is form a team at the client location so that communication would be faster. But also, it's not only in terms of communication, but also some of the things, some of the work that cannot be done offshore, work that can only be done at the client location, will be done there. Okay? Clarifying the specifications, doing the final test in the actual client environment, for example, are things that can only be done or better be done in the client location. So having that structure, having this kind of structure with all communication levels very clearly defined would mean that outsourcing would actually be smooth. And in terms of cost, okay, shifting from an all on-site, meaning everything is at the client location, moving to offshore, okay. There's things written here like T&L, labor and other. T&L is the travel and living expenses of our people. Of course, when we send people to client locations, say for example, our case of Japan, we incur more expenses, of course, because we need to provide for accommodation for our people there. So it means that at the start of your outsourcing work, no, the cost itself may not be that low immediately. It means that the cost reduction may come in later. But the point is, so that's why what I'm saying is the cost itself is an important factor in outsourcing, but making sure that the right service is delivered, that the quality is kept, okay, is first and foremost the concern of any business. So cutting cost, of course, it will come in, okay, it could be a delayed gratification kind of thing, but the cost reduction would come in after you have stabilized the formation, after you have undergone transition. I think that's one expectation that has to be done here if you are looking for a long-term outsourcing partnership. Because if it's a large system, for example, that you want to be maintained somewhere else, people have to adapt, people have to learn about it, the engineers have to learn about it, and it takes time. Even it's a given that you need time for people to understand your systems. Now, for our case, for example, we also have the governance model, communication across between the two organizations of the client and our company, from the execution phase, management phase, and planning phase, or sections of the organization. We have project to project meetings between project leaders. We have business meetings between the business managers, and strategic planning between the two companies, our client and ourselves, so that we would together plan the roadmap of how we are going to pursue, expand, for example, or diversify the scope. We start with some kind of, well, in a manner of speaking, it's consulting. We try to understand the business of the client. We try to understand where they are, and we try to understand where they want to go, and then where do we plug ourselves in? That's the kind of thing that we do. If they have their own IT team, how do we collaborate with their IT team? If they just want to outsource a project, okay, it's fine. But we also want to know the nature or the background of where they're going to need the project that they outsource to us. And together with that, we would define SLAs, we would define our KPIs. Okay? For example, our key performance index would be, okay, how many modules can you complete in a day? How many lines of code for some companies, IT companies? How many lines of codes can you do in 1 month? Something like that. So it depends. It varies from company to company, from partner companies. But the thing is, it's all the same. There has to be an agreement between the companies and our outsourcing clients and us, and it has to be done over time. There has to be a transition. So whether you like it or not, okay, there are companies that wherein you could outsource. Okay, I want this project done in 3 months. Go. Okay. There are cases that those are successful, but the more successful cases would be when you do it in terms of by forming a kind of partnership, not necessarily having stake in each other's company, but rather treating your outsourcing vendor as an equal to you. In terms of the phases, okay, when we start our engagement, we start with investigating first. Of course, the NDA would always be there, and there could be some feasibility studies or proof of concepts, and then we do a small trial. We start small because we're still feeling each other out, and then when things work out fine, then we can define what engagement model we want or the client wants. Is it purely staff augmentation, okay, on their site, or should it be a project-based engagement, or do they want a laboratory within our company wherein they could also use it as their extension office? Okay, now that we are doing work from home, okay, the barriers have changed. Okay, and then most of our clients now we're doing the more of a collaborative approach. Something like it's an extended floor, but we are located at different locations in a manner of speaking. Now, sample cases of what we've done for our clients. We've done outsourcing related to mobile applications, appliance, device driver, embedded software, anything. We have been in the industry. We've been in the Philippines for 27 years, and we've done software for different devices. These are for the devices side. We do software for robots, we do software for printers, mobile phones, storage, what have you, in-vehicle equipment, point of sale system, medical equipment. We do that. We also do business applications, banking systems, manufacturing systems, point of sale systems. Okay, right now, other than having the web program, the web application, there's always a mobile counterpart. So we're always doing a pair of that. Okay. There are other applications like the ride sharing applications, a lot of things they're popping up these days. And as long as we agree on the terms, we agree on the scope, then we can always do that. In terms of testing, we have done this for a very long time, since 1998. In fact, for some products, we do testing as a service, testing only, okay, from unit test, integration test, and quality assurance test. We've done that. Now, we have evolved and we have our own test automation platform. The test case, the case study of which is for automobile dashboards, and we're doing it together with our clients. Now, as an outsourcing company, it is best that we have our own suite. This is actually for our own internal use. All the systems that we use within our company are homegrown and developed by our engineers. Okay? From HR information systems, for our workflow approval for purchases, for our business trip approval, skill inventory, even the attendance system and leave of absence system, because those are actually we have some systems that are not common because some of our practices are based on Japanese practices, like substitution holiday, for example, substitution overtime. Those are things that are not commonly used in the Philippines. So we had to develop our own. So it started with a need, and then we said that, okay, if this need has to be settled, then it has to come from us. So our own services, our own products internally are being used. And with the pandemic, we have developed this for internal use. As of now, this is for internal use. We are tracking our employees. We are tracking if they are healthy, how many are in the office, how many are working from home, because we do hybrid now. Okay, we have a digital checklist of people who have symptoms. Okay, we are monitoring them, how's their health. And this also has a contact tracing and quarantine management facility. So despite having to work from home, there are things that can be done. Things have changed drastically because people are not coming to the office. But actually, that's the only thing that changed. No? People are not coming to the office. But in terms of productivity and quality, the monitoring, the KPIs are all set up. And it's always being tracked. And so I'm happy to say that even if we have done the work from home thing, we are still fulfilling the client requirements. Now, my final slide is on the key takeaway on doing outsourcing. Outsourcing really is a matter of decision. You have to be clear of the purpose before you choose to outsource or not. Your purpose in choosing to outsource would define your expectation. And your expectation, you have to be able to check it versus your outsourcing partner, the outsourcing partner that you chose. Number two, outsourcing need not to be large scale at the start. You should start small, but of course you have to be prepared to scale when things work out. Because, well, for outsourcing companies, the perspective of outsourcing companies, on the other hand, is they always want to scale. It's because they want to be flexible with the people they are assigning. Okay? Engineers, Filipino engineers, one of their characteristics is they get bored if they do the same thing over and over again. So there has to be some facility for people rotation. And it would be easier if you're doing rotation in a large team rather than in a small team. Number three, outsourcing is a partnership. You treat your outsourcing partner as a outsourcing vendor as a partner. Okay? When you say partner, it's a higher level of relationship wherein both sides become almost equal. Of course, you are the client and your requirements should be met. But how to meet those requirements, what the outsourced vendor would need from you, should also be considered when you are doing outsourcing. Number four, communications with your partner through a well-defined process, well-structured reporting, and review will go a long way. That's why I have the governance model that I presented a while ago. It has to be constant. It has to be consistent. Okay? It has to be open as well. Communication and escalation has to be an open platform between you and your partner company. And number five, you choose your partner wisely. You evaluate again, the purpose versus the aspects of outsourcing in terms of quality, cost, and delivery, among others. It's a choice. Maybe it's a tough choice for some, but a lot of companies have done it. A lot of companies have been successful with outsourcing, and it takes hard work, not only for the vendor side, not only for the partner, but also on your side. So when you make the choice, okay, go with the choice, okay, work on it together with your partner, and definitely your outsourcing will be very, very successful. So once again, that's my final slide. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Okay. Thank you, Vincent. No, that is such an informative presentation on how our technologies can project Filipino talent virtually around the world by bridging us with the clientele wherever they may be. Business outsourcing and IT has truly transformed from being an enabler into a tool for business continuity because of the disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now let us go to the Q&A. Um, in the interest of time, we'd like to limit the questions into three, and we apologize for not being able to raise all questions in the chat box, but we encourage you to ask the questions directly to the speakers. Okay. So the first question, no, and this is addressed to either both Vincent and JL. Since work from home is now a trend, how do you ensure that the services and technology that you are providing meets international information security protocol? Um, uh, I think we could get the answer from JL first.
Okay, so well, thank you for the question. So, um, implementing a work from home setup, it was a hard decision for companies, but for Point West, we have contemplated this when the pandemic started. And one of the key items here is the technical preparation. So it's on the hardware, on the VPN connections, ensuring that the same level of security that you have in the office premises can be extended when you do now the work from home setting. One key factor here is you have to get approval of the clients. So we have to lay down to the clients the requirements of Philippine companies to go into work from home mode, precisely because of the lockdown. They suspended now transportation, and a lot of companies need to stop operation. So in order to continue the service to these companies in the United States and elsewhere, we provided them a plan, which is basically contained in the business continuity plan, allowing them to input if there are certain restrictions that they want added. And by consulting them, we're able to make sure that we cover all areas. And our data privacy group, including the IT group, have been very busy ensuring that the connections, including the data security protocols, are still observed, even if you are doing a work from home setting, including the submission of each employee of the possible setups that they will have in their home premises in order to ensure compliance to the established standards.
Okay,
Right?
so let me just add to that. For our company, it's basically similar because from the start, security protocols are in place together with our clients, even while we are working from the office, because we are working remotely from our client's location as an outsourced partner. There is already a security protocol that is in place, data privacy and everything. For our staff, well, our workstations are actually mobile workstations for everybody. So moving from the office to the home is just what we needed to be able to work from home. And of course, in between the office and the home of the person, of the engineer, there has to be a check on the security protocol. We're still using our office network. Okay, people log in from their workstation to the office network to the network of the client. So it's just one more step that we had to ensure. And our IT guys were able to do that in practically no time at all. And it was an easy transition for us. From the start, we were ready for it as part of our business continuity plan.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so on for our next question. No? Given that there are signs of a probable probable second wave in the United States, can you share to the audience what particular steps or measures Point West had to undertake to make this happen? So I think this is addressed to Mr. JL.
Yeah, apologies, Marco. I think I missed you in a few words in the question because you sounded robotic in a few of your words.
Sorry. Okay,
Apologies.
let me just repeat this now. Given that there are signs of a probable second wave in the United States, can you share to the audience what particular steps or measures Point West had to undertake to make this happen?
Okay, so at least for the past 6 months, we've been comfortable with the work from home setting. But at the same time, we have readied the office premises because right now under the requirements of both PESA and DOLE, we are already allowed to move operations in the office premises. So we have prepared the office premises for contingency in case there would be employees who may have problems with connectivity. They can basically work on providing the documentation that they will be transitioning to the office work. But we still have set up the work from home offices to ensure all the continuous work is not disrupted. So in case there would be a second wave, when we are ready for that, we have tested that for the past 6 months. We have remained productive. We have no issues as far as deliverables are concerned. And I think this setup has worked and will still work in case we need to still continue on working from the home.
Right. Thank you, JL. No, and we have our final question here, and I think it should be addressed to both JL and Vincent. No? So our question is: while the Philippines and India are considered as key outsourcing locations, do you anticipate that China will become an outsourcing player in the future? Why do you think the Philippines will retain its edge in IT outsourcing?
Okay, Vince, let me go ahead so that
Sure.
we can have the wrap up. So for me, outsourcing in IT, also in BPO services, has been dependent upon the advantage of the Philippines, first in the language. So the command of the English language for the North America clientele has provided the Philippines with that edge. So we easily understand instructions. We easily are able to communicate with the end client. And we're able to communicate from the levels of the agents, from the levels of the programmers. So there's really a very good discussion points whenever we have projects. And that one is a big factor. The second factor is the intrinsic culture of care that the Philippines has. So it's really something that cannot be easily be quantified, but it really resonates to the fact that an employee in a Philippine company would finish the job even if it's time, just to ensure that the job is done. That's very far from the other culture wherein they would stop working when they hit, the 5 o'clock. Now, China has been a player, but for as long as they do not have the English language advantage, it would be difficult. Secondly, I think the track record of the Philippines that it was able to accomplish for the past several decades is a testament that if we have a job, we have it, we do it properly and we have it delivered. And that basically is what our outsourcing partners in North America are looking for, a track record that indeed we can deliver. Vince?
All right. So just to add to that, no, very eloquently presented the points. Um, when you say outsourcing, I mentioned that it's a matter of decision. When you decide to go with it, you decide on a partner and you work with that partner so that it would happen. It would be very smooth. Now, when you choose a partner, you even in your personal life, when you choose a partner, okay, you have to ensure that there would be flexibility in between the partners. You also have to ensure that there is compatibility, okay, and that there is trust in between those partners. And the same is true for outsourcing. The Philippines has proven to be a trustworthy partner of any outsourcing company, when I say any, it's across the globe. We have partners even from China. We are doing some outsourcing for the China market as well. We are doing outsourcing with US, with Japan, and I am proud to say that I think it's not only our company, but the Filipino companies as a whole have thrived over these outsourcing schemes because they are quite flexible, because they are quite adaptable to the ways of the clients. Okay, different clients, different needs. Everybody's satisfied. So it's a culture thing of, well, JL mentioned about the culture of care. It means the culture of adaptability as well, being adaptive to what the client really needs. We are good at understanding. We are good at understanding what people needs, what companies need. Okay? We start, as I mentioned, we start from somehow consulting. When we say consulting, we try to dig deep as to what would be needed in terms of business transformation. And we do not immediately sell our products and services. We understand the need before we do any of that. And I guess that would be the key point, okay, in choosing your partner. And once you choose an outsourcing partner, work with them, explore the possibilities of not only doing your outsourcing work, but also expanding your market towards their geography where they are present. So I guess that wraps it up. Thank you very much.
Hey, very well said, sirs. No? Thank you for the lively discussion. We apologize that we're not able to raise all the questions, no, in the chat box, but we encourage you to ask the questions directly to the speakers. So you can jot down this contact details so you can get in touch with directly with JL and Vincent. So again, we thank you for joining us today. Okay? We still have one more webinar coming up. Please make sure to pre-register so you can get access to our Zoom discussion. Maraming salamat, and we look forward to seeing you again in our last webinar on October 1. Okay.
Hi.
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 Guys, thank you very much for having us. And as usual, as always, let us know if we could help you out with anything. If we need to answer those questions, kindly send us those questions, and we'll be glad to answer.
Yeah, actually, I was about to say that if there are unanswered questions, you can send it to both of us, and we will answer them by email. And you could forward it to those who asked the questions as a form of saying thank you for attending this webinar.
Thank you so much. Both presentations were very clear and very detailed. I think like even myself, I understood more clearly how the outsourcing engagement works. So it's very good that both of you presented it in a way that it will make it more clearer to people who are thinking of outsourcing what to expect if they decide to indeed outsource their IT solution. So thank you so much. Celine, picture taking?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
I think, we're still live.
We are live. So let's
Friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone, one quick smile.